come from? Where you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing. Where do you come from? Where are you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where are you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing.
And there we go. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And we are back. The Super PlayStation Bros coming at you live this Wednesday morning. And we are here talking PlayStation First Gaming. As usual, I'm joined by Dorgon coming in with the trophies. And I want to give a shout out to That PlayStation Gamer. Thanks for coming in last week and hanging out with us and talking PlayStation. But this week, we are back to the duo, getting it in today. So let's talk everything PlayStation. But before we do that, what have you been gaming on this week? What's been on the stage?
I mean, I kind of went on holiday. It's difficult to play your PlayStation whilst you're away on holiday. So I was up in York, northern more area of England, for anybody who doesn't know which sort of region that is. So I was up there for a few days, had a great time, saw a lot of the historical aspects of it, did some cool shopping in a little area called the Shambles. If you have watched the Harry Potter movies, it looks like Diagon Alley. Beautiful archaic structures and buildings, just gorgeous time. But of course, me being up there doing that, it wasn't really useful for video gaming. I've played a little bit of Destiny 2 since returning with the likes of Wibblesniff and Jar Jar and Crash Echo, but otherwise I've not really done that much gaming.
His feed
Apparently
sounds
my
crazy.
audio is awful. Yeah, apparently no one can hear me properly.
Let me try to fix that. Sorry about that.
Would you like me to sing whilst you're doing it so that they can be regaled by a beautiful song when you actually get the audio sorted?
Okay, I think I have it sorted now.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me more clearly, ladies and gentlemen? Anybody in chat? Anyone? Any takers? How are we sounding?
This should be better
One
now.
hopes.
Let me check on my end.
I'm hoping it's better. Fingers crossed.
Okay, it should be better now. Sorry about that.
Woo!
We had OBS wanted to mess with my audio settings there. I had to go to my mixer. Thank you. Sounds good, SPG. And Lo-Fi, thank you for... Oh, I'm insulted. Why? I hope not. I hope you're doing well, good sir.
He's insulted by my roboticness. He wants to be the only robot here. That's the issue, I feel.
I see. I see. Well, hopefully everyone's doing well this morning. Thank you all for coming and hanging out with us. We do appreciate it. We're talking everything PlayStation this week. But yes, you were on vacation.
So I've not really played anything.
I myself have been deep into Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, and I have a breakdown on some drama going down with the DLC later on in the episode, which I am very unhappy about. Let's go to say that. Otherwise, just hanging out, playing some Battlefield. They took that off of PlayStation Cloud. They seem to be in a rotation, so I had to download it the other day. And some Among Us, I realized I am one trophy away from the platinum. We've been playing so much. Oh my goodness.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, on my way. And yeah, just having fun playing games. Really excited about Elden Ring, though.
That's good. That's very good. I'm glad you've been enjoying it. That's the main thing when it comes to gaming. And knowing you, it's only been Elden Ring since Thursday. Other than last night when you were on the finals in some form of civil war.
Oh, yeah, that. We will not talk about that.
Touche. I'm assuming then, as I tuned out after about half an hour or so, that you didn't win the civil war.
Nobody won the Civil War.
No, I mean, that is how these things go in war. Yes.
Yeah. No. But I digress. Let's get into what's been going on in the PlayStation world this week. We are getting into rumors that Sony's still working on a PS3 emulator for PS5. And I will say, I think there is an issue with the PS3 games on PS5. I had one experience, and perhaps it's an isolated experience. I was getting ready for Elden Ring DLC, and I was like, what do I play beforehand? Somebody suggested Asura's Wrath. They said it's a really cool action game, and I went to go load it up, streamed it from the PS5, and when I got to some action sequences, nothing was working well. Like, none of the animations were working, none of the timing was working. I don't know if it was just the cloud experience or the PS3 emulation, but unplayable state, and I had to turn it off. So I hope they're working on something to really bring this to the forefront, because there are a lot of great titles there.
There are so many great PlayStation 3 titles. There's so many locked on PlayStation 3. Metal Gear Solid 4 being a big one. So many people want to play Metal Gear Solid 4. They're coming across the series now with 5 Ground Zeroes, with talks of Metal Gear Solid Delta and co. So there's a lot of things locked back there that people do want to play, and a PS3 emulator would be great. Like you say, the problem with the current version is it's cloud only. Now that's running on actual PlayStation 3, so it's PlayStation 3 is plugged into a server running on the cloud, or some form of their motherboards plugged in and what have you. That's how their current PlayStation 3 is working. It's not emulation, it's the actual hardware, because that cell processor that they built for that generation of console was so complex their own in-house studios never got full use out of it. So my query is, how are they going to do anything with emulation on PlayStation 5? To emulate something, you have to be like, I believe it's something along the lines of 10 times as powerful as the original device to emulate that original device. Essentially, all that means is it takes an area of the operating system, locks that off, builds a fake PlayStation 3 within it, and then starts playing the games upon that fake console, emulated console within the other bit of hardware, and then you start playing. The PS5 is nowhere near 10 times as powerful as the PlayStation 3, and especially not that cell processor. So how are they going to emulate that cell processor? How are they going to emulate the power of it? How is this going to work? Is it going to allow you to put your old PlayStation 3 discs in? Is it just going to be rebuy them digitally? Is it going to be what's on PS Plus? This is very, very rumor territory at the moment, and I personally do not see how it is possible to have an actual PlayStation 3 emulator running on the PlayStation 5, because the console simply doesn't have the overhead horsepower to make it work. If they can do it, if they've got some magical wizardry in the PlayStation vaults and such that will make this happen, I'm all for it. I've got PlayStation 3 games that I really want to play that are locked back on that console, and currently my PlayStation 3 remotes will only work plugged in, and then only for about 5 or 10 minutes at a time. So I'm all for ways of getting these games on the current console. It's just a case of knowing how emulators work and running many of them on this. I don't see how that's possible. You need a 2080 minimum graphics card and a 11th gen i5 processor in a PC to emulate a PlayStation 3 at 1080 30. So I don't see how the power is there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and they actually lost money on the PS3, their only console, to do that. But nothing ventured, nothing gained, as they say, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's true, and if they're trying it, all power to them. It's one of the only back catalogs that isn't easily available alongside the PSP and Vita. But even they're coming to PS Plus in the Classics catalog and such, so it's very difficult one. I would love to see it. Bring it on if you can bring it on, but please don't half bake it. Make it worthwhile.
Well, everyone's favorite game this year in January in a certain week was Palworld. And that game launched numbers into the stratosphere, into a place that I didn't even think was possible. I didn't know there were so many gamers. And unfortunately, PlayStation missed out on the early release. And we're now hearing that PlayStation is suggesting that you may get your wish. Apparently, a community manager, Bucky, has posted a blue heart. So apparently, a blue heart means PlayStation is coming on to Palworld, and I guess that makes a lot of sense. They talked about it coming on when it was fully released. They're talking about fully releasing it in the new year at its complete and out of early access. And a blue heart could definitely mean PlayStation. Is it not on Nintendo? I'm surprised they don't have a red heart.
It's not on Switch yet. No.
Oh, right, because it's Pokemon ripoff. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, you say that. We've had Pokemon ripoffs. Let's be honest, it's a creature capture game. Pokemon is not the first creature capture, it's not the last creature capture. So saying things are a Pokemon ripoff, Pokemon's just one of the most successful, and loads of people didn't want to compete with it for years. But Pokemon isn't exactly a good game at the moment. The last 3 or 4 releases have been disappointing the fan base further and further and further. So you've then got this opening for people like Temtem, for people like Palworld, for people like Coromon to come in across multiple different platforms and offer you a creature capture experience. So the whole Pokemon ripoff is a complete disservice to so many of these games. And also, if it was a ripoff, there'd have been lawsuits up the wazoo. The reason it's not on Nintendo is the Switch is not a powerful console, and this thing is horrifically optimized. It runs terribly on most systems. It ran better on Xbox at launch, but that's because it was limited to like 4 people per game world rather than the 20 you can get on PC. The Nintendo Online servers are held together with silly string and chewing gum at the moment, so can you imagine trying to throw a 20-person Palworld world on there? It would just be crashes constantly. I'm looking forward to this coming to PlayStation 5. It looks like a great game. I haven't been able to play it yet because I don't have a PC, don't have an Xbox, don't have the means to go and play Palworld. But I'm looking forward to it. I do hope it's coming. They've made so many hints about it across the course of the year. If it is 2025 that we get it, so be it. We're still going to enjoy it loads. It's not like PlayStation gamers aren't going to go out and buy it. Look what they did with Sea of Thieves 6 years after its launch. I think it's great, and I like that they keep teasing it. They keep telling you, yeah, it is coming, but we're not going to give you all of the information. We're going to let you ruminate and postulate and all of these other eights. I'm looking forward to it coming to PlayStation.
Yeah, I am as well. I tried to play it in early access, however, it crashed multiple times on me. And at that point, I had no real good way to play it, so I sort of logged off and didn't get back into it. However, if there was an easier, better way to play it, it would definitely be an option given just the sheer amount of people who wanted to play it and enjoyed it. So that'd be cool. That'd be cool, and I'm sure it would get a lot of love there.
It would, yeah. I'm surprised it hasn't come across yet that this is kind of the first big news 6 months later that we're getting, but yeah, I'm glad to see it, glad to hear it.
now we have BAFTA bringing in experts for initial voting on game design and technical awards. And guess who got an invite to be a BAFTA judge? Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wait for it. Big announcement on the show. Not me. I'm sorry, everybody. It wasn't me.
Was it not me either?
No, it wasn't us.
Oh,
Yep.
do we not class as experts?
Apparently not. But don't worry, I've sent the show in to the Miss Maria Delisandri who wrote this, and maybe next year we'll get judging. So cool to see that they're looking for judges. Obviously, BAFTA is a prestigious award for video games, and look forward to see the outcome.
Yeah,
how about yourself?
I've always respected the BAFTA awards personally. BAFTA stands for British Arts, Television, Film, and all that sort of shenaniganery. I absolutely respect them because they've always had a stricter line in the sand for how they do their awards. It's not like the Game Awards, it's not like IGN Awards or anything like that. It's not, oh, we liked this most, that's Game of the Year. It's got some very strict terms on it as to what can be entered, what can compete, how it's judged, and they're changing those around to be more industry-led. So it's things like the Game Design Award. It's going to be judged by game designers, and I think that is the absolute best way to do it. Get the people who know that sector of the industry inside out to judge that award. And if they're in any of these other awards, they are automatically entered into the Game of the Year category. It's no longer a case of you had to enter individually to be recognized for Game of the Year. If you are recognized in any other category, you have a shot at the Game of the Year award. So I think it's some very positive changes coming from it. I'd like to see some further change, but it might be do a couple of changes a year at a time, see how they land, adjust, and change for the next award. They've always been excellent awards. They've always had great reasoning behind what's done well, what hasn't done well. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how well it works come awards season next year. But it's a good positive move, I feel, to have these awards industry-led and not, I like this game more than that game led. That seems really positive to me.
Absolutely, yeah. Technical judges voting on game design. Love to see it. But one thing people are itching to see is all this buzz around Steve and his friends. And that is Minecraft coming to PS5, and it is finally here. Minecraft is buzzing and buzzing again on their 15th year anniversary. I cannot believe this game is ridiculous. They are celebrating with a TV show. They're creating buzz with this PS5 release of the game, because up until now, if you wanted to play your Minecraft on PS5, you had to use the PS4 version, similar to Red Dead Redemption 2 for some reason. But this is how they did it. But now you have a PS5 version, and I think they're just creating a lot of buzz, hyping up the show, and just making some name titles and trying to get their name out in the media. But yeah, that's my theory on it. But otherwise, I think it took a while.
Yeah, I think that's my problem with it. Like you say, it took a while. The PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are incredibly similar consoles. The general architecture is basically identical. It's a few bits here and a few bits there that are slightly different. So if you've got a game on one of them, it's very easy, or as easy as it can be, to port to another system. Minecraft is one of the biggest games in the world. It doesn't need to be anywhere other than on PC to still remain one of the biggest games in the world. But they're on mobile, they're on PlayStation Vita, I think they were on Nintendo DS at one point in a very stripped back version of it. They're on PC, as we've said, they're on PlayStation 4. They've now got a native PlayStation 5 version. It's a bit disappointing it's come so late. The native Xbox Series X version was at the tail end of last year. I would have thought a port to PlayStation 5 where you have more console gamers than on Xbox would have been a little bit quicker, and it's definitely caused some consternation in that aspect of the community. I do also get that it is an Xbox property, so they're not going to give the PlayStation players all of that preferential treatment. But I do wish it had been a little bit quicker. I wish they had brought it out alongside the Series X update to like those next-gen graphics, or at least a month or two later. Nearly 6 months later doesn't seem appropriate for a live game. But they've been getting all of the updates, all of the content. It's just it hasn't looked as pretty on PlayStation as it has on Xbox in more recent times. And as long as the game remains fun, I think that's absolutely fine, all in all. It's just, are we going to moan about logging into both an Xbox and Microsoft account to play Minecraft? Can we do that one after the whole debacle around having to sign into PSN on PC, or is that off the table? Do people not like that anymore?
No. That's yesterday's news.
Yesterday's news, okay. Yeah, so we don't have to moan about having to log into 2 separate accounts to play that one. Yeah, fair play.
Yeah. Sony is shutting down its rewards program. And here are the deadlines for submitting claims. So I was not a part of this rewards program. But I am sad to see it go away. I wish I was a part of it. I would have definitely picked up a PlayStation Visa. That would have been awesome because everything would have been PlayStation in my wallet. All right, that would have been epic. But yeah, they're taking it away. You could have got some bonuses through that, and now it's no more. I am hoping this is not a foreshadow to what's been going on with our PlayStation reward system inside the app, because it has been down for about a month or two, and I really hope they're able to figure all of this stuff out. But yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. What were you ever a part of this reward system on the credit card?
I wasn't, no. When it comes to these sort of, it's essentially like a store card, like you get in any of your department stores anywhere in the world. You get credit basically to use just in that store or just on PlayStation. Houston's saying in chat that is how that rewards program is how he got his PS5. He didn't actually pay a penny for his PS5. He just got it through that rewards program. So it's obviously a very good thing for a lot of people. Running anything banking related, though, comes with so many hoops, so many challenges, so many legal loopholes that you have to jump through. I was speaking to a business owner the other day who was saying something about he has like storage containers and offices that he rents out, and you need like 200 people on a direct debit to be able to even set the direct debit up. Otherwise, he can't take direct debits from these people paying for these things. They have to pay him via standing order or a monthly request or whatever the case may be. So banking options, banking requests, and anything like that, they are incredibly complicated. And if this isn't paying dividends for PlayStation anymore, if they are not getting people signing up to it, using it, if they can't spread it beyond, say, the US and Canada, or if it's not taking off in other markets like Japan or Europe, it's time to sort of shut the door on it. I hope that the reward side of it is reworked. I hope it comes back in some other way. Maybe when you're purchasing through PlayStation directly, that there are some form of rewards program there. Maybe even linked to stars. Maybe a separate thing. But it's sad to see it go because there are some amazing moments from it, like Houston in chat is saying. But at the same time, so many people didn't even know this existed. I remember hearing about it back in like 2013 or something, and then never hearing of it again. I didn't realize it was still going. So they've not really pushed it anything either. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If it's not getting the pickup though, you're not going to keep doing it, are you?
Yeah, I mean, it was never, throw it on the PlayStation home screen. Hey, sign up for the card, get discounts on games with your purchases or something, or get subscription with your purchases of regular, like they should have had a little advertisement. Even throw it in like your media section. Don't even put it on my home screen, but never saw anything like that. Never even saw like a little pamphlet. They should have thrown something in when I got my PS5. It's like, hey, sign up for this card and get discounts on your games. Like, anything like that would have been a great way to get more awareness on this. But I think they killed the program, so that's the way.
Yeah, these things happen. It's unfortunate, and like you said, if you're not putting it out there, if you're not telling people about it, people aren't going to pick it up. And if people aren't picking up a product that you're trying to sell, it ain't going to go so well. It's yeah, disappointing. I hope they do something with the reward side of it, but it's not surprising.
Well, another program that Sony is closing down back to back, apparently. We're putting these stories. Sony is pulling PSVR 2 funding. That is the current rumor, according to some reports. Android Central cites anonymous sources, so not the most stable of people we can let you know, but they're saying that we may see a defund in VR, and through the PlayStation, we already seen them try to get into the PC market. But yeah, it's really unfortunate to see them sort of abandon it. But we saw in weak sales that they weren't expecting that I don't think they could make this work. But what are your thoughts? I know you're a user. You enjoyed the experiences, so I'm sad to see this go. Even though I never got to try it.
I don't think when they say defunding, if you read the article, if you read the reports, it's not a case of, oh, we're scrapping PSVR 2. It is a case of PSVR 2 isn't doing as well as we expected, so we can't pour as much money into it as we were doing, so we're going to rein back on what we're doing to support it. The report says that there's actually 2 first-party PSVR 2 games upcoming, which is, for my money, 2 more than I thought we were going to get. We went basically 12 months without a first-party release or without an exclusive release. Synapse was the last one. So you had Call of the Mountain, you had a couple of others, then you had Synapse. And Synapse was that last exclusive release for the PSVR 2. We now know that there are 2 more exclusive PSVR 2 games coming in the future. And according to the report, it could even be in the next 12 months, which would be amazing. As Ninja Guy VR is saying in chat, it still sees a lot of third-party support. As long as the community is active, there will be games that will be sent to it. It's got the same sort of idea as the PlayStation Vita in that regard. There was a lot of support for it, just not a lot from Sony and PlayStation directly, which is why the Vita didn't do so well. So I'm surprised they haven't learned from their previous mistakes. The PSVR 2 is a phenomenal headset. It is the best VR headset that I have used. It's the most comfortable, it's the highest fidelity, it's the easiest to set up. It's one of the cheapest options for the specs that it actually offers as well. And now that it can be used on PC as well as on PS5, I think there's some excellent reasons to stay with it and use it. It is an incredible bit of hardware. I love it. I am still getting a lot of time with it. They've just put 6 games on PlayStation Plus that I have downloaded, and I've only managed to play 2 of them so far. One of those being Ghostbusters, a big AAA VR experience. I think what would have been better is a permanent £100, $100 price cut on the headset, get the headset out the door, make the money on the software, because once people experience that, they don't want to go back. And once you start getting people involved, there's going to be more people who want to get involved just through word of mouth, who try and get at friends' houses and all this sort of stuff. So I'm very disappointed to see it on the one hand. It's completely unsurprising, having been an early adopter of the PlayStation Vita and seeing how that went. I got a lot of Vita vibes from the PSVR 2 when I first picked it up. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing for me. I loved all of my time with the Vita. I just wished there was more first-party support. And I now know that that's pretty much exactly what I'm going to get with the PSVR 2. And because I went into it expecting that, I'm absolutely okay with that. But you've got a lot of people who went in expecting the second coming of virtual reality, which this was never going to be. It's attached to a console, for Pete's sake. But I love it. I'm disappointed it's not going to get the support that it deserves, but at the same time, there's a lot of third-party support. There's over 40 games that I've picked up for it in the first 12 months. I haven't done that for any other platform anywhere else, picked up that many games in the first 12 months of it being on the market. there's legs. There's definitely legs with this, and I don't think this is the last we will see or hear of PSVR 2.
So the PS2 VR moves on and it still lives on. But one thing I will say, if something is starting to fail, sometimes I feel like on paper defunding or taking a step back makes sense, but also double down and perhaps put this massive experience that can only be had on the PSVR 2 and really attract people to it. And sometimes I feel like that strategy may be more risky, but it needs to be taken sometimes. And if I was in charge, I would definitely drive a company into the ground taking that risk.
I'm not sure you would, though. How many of us have been talking about boring games over the past 2, 3, 4 years? We've all said, oh, this game's boring, this game's boring. They're doing the same thing again and again and again. If you were running it and saying, just get us a giant exclusive experience for this, build something that can only be had on the PlayStation VR 2 that everybody wants to play, give us a PlayStation version of Half-Life Alyx. Like, that is the Steam VR must-play experience. Give us the PlayStation version of Beat Saber. That is the meta must-play experience. Like, just give us something that is PlayStation-centric, PlayStation first, or PlayStation only, and people will come. If the game is that good, they will go out and buy the hardware to play the software. We have seen it time and time and time again. And as you say, like, if something's not doing quite what you wanted it to, with your foot half on the gas, floor it. Go full in, give it 2 years, and if it's still not working, then you can pull the plug. But half-arsing it, you can't say you gave it enough time.
Here are my 2 crazy VR titles I think they should make. 1, Killzone, The Lone Warrior. The red goggles, everything, really get into that, make that Half-Life 2 experience with Killzone IP. Second one, I would say, God of War VR. Put that axe in your hand and start smashing stuff. Really bring that to life. The chains with the double, sticks like that. I really think that would be an excellent experience. I think they need to take advantage. Even going something Naughty Dog route, running, jumping, grabbing onto rope, a real experience where you're constantly moving. I think these experiences need to be explored, and I think VR could do it.
I think you're right, but with your descriptions there's things like this, like a lovely vase that you don't like. Oh yeah, let's wing the blades of chaos round. You really don't like people's precious objects in their house, do you?
Yeah, I think it would be awesome. And if somebody breaks a controller, they want to buy it so they can get a new one to get back into the game.
Yeah,
hey,
you're quite right.
In VR would be cool. We got Asgard's Wrath 2. Ninja Guy VR is telling people it is the God of War of MetaQuest. So if you're looking for that experience, and Behemoth is going to be on PSVR 2. So that's going to be an epic experience. I did see it, and I really thought that's the kind of thing you need. Even though I believe that is on PC, they need to take something of that scope, make it even bigger, surround it with the PlayStation IP, and just go for it.
Yeah, like you say, lean on nostalgia, lean on those PlayStation IPs, lean on the recognized, and then you can also bring in the unknowns. Like, give me a Returnal type game, like that sort of unique, brilliant experience. The similar sort of vibe to what Synapse was, that can only be had on PSVR 2. Give me a God of War experience on PSVR 2. Killzone would be perfect. The fans are screaming for another Killzone game. We haven't had one since 2013. Give us one. Give us one in VR. People will go and buy it. Trust me. Give us an Aloy-centric Horizon game on PSVR, because the one we've got is great, but expand upon it. Give us like a full world to explore and live in. You've got great ideas, and as someone who uses the headset and loves it, the hype levels I would get from that are higher than I have had for any game in quite a while. It's not hard to do things right when you've got such a wealth of IP behind you and such a unique way of interacting with them with your whole body. you're quite right. Use those IPs, lean on those experiences, and give us something new and unique that can only be had on this platform, and people will come. People will come.
Well, lastly, on our VR section of the show, let's check out Infinite Inside, the cinematic release date trailer. So it's going to be released on the 12th of July. And when you sent this to me, I really thought it was cool because it's blending AR and VR, which I really think is a cool aspect of gaming. I think they need to bring more of that into like the world and stuff. And honestly, I think it's the future AR, having that other layer of reality. But yeah, cool to see, and coming out very soon.
Yeah, I have a big question about this one. Now, I know you haven't used the PSVR 2, but we've got folks in chat who have. I've never seen color pass through on the PlayStation VR 2. So the cameras on the front of the headset are infrared, which means they see basically in black and white, which is really good because it means you can see your hands, you can see those beautiful bright white controllers really easily. It's how it tracks your hand movements and what have you. But I've only ever had pass-through in black and white, and you're looking at this trailer and the pass-through is in full color. Have they somehow figured out a way to get me into my living room in full color on the PSVR 2? Or is this game, because it's on the likes of Meta and all the PC VR headsets as well, is this pass-through going to be black and white on PSVR 2, which might be even more cool because you've got the black and white real world and then the full color virtual world? It's an interesting question, and they've not really said anything anywhere because all of the footage shows color pass-through, but I don't think PSVR 2 could do color pass-through, in which case the black and white pass-through with the color virtual world is going to be a very artistic difference between the releases that I could pretty much get behind. Just confusing.
I think they clarify it here. Wait a second. Also available in virtual reality. So I think it's going to be, like you say, not color pass-through on PlayStation VR 2 and Steam VR. And I think because they've listed the Vision Pro, you'll be able to experience on mixed reality on MetaQuest 3 Pro and whatever Pico is.
Pico is another standalone headset, very similar to the Meta side of things. They're meant to be quite a good competitor to them. I've never used one, unfortunately. I haven't used a Meta headset either, so I can't talk on those sides, but Pico is a standalone VR headset.
Well, hey, a lot of excitement still around VR, and watch out for Naughty Dog's new PSVR 2 title, Can't Run Fast Enough. Well, that'll be the last little bit of rumor and leak that I start today, maybe. Bluepoint. PlayStation Switch. Bluepoint Games still working on its mysterious title. Or, sorry, I read that completely wrong. Bluepoint is working on a game. It is a mystery. There is no title. So, what do we know? Only that they're working.
Essentially, yeah.
We
know it's original.
Remakes. Yeah, they make remakes. That's what this place does. But apparently they're rolling up their sleeves and they're going to make a real game. They're moving on from Pinocchio and getting down and dirty and making an actual baby. So, what do you think's coming out of this?
I don't know. The challenge you face with Bluepoint is they are versatile. When you see what they have remade and how they have remade it, these games are better than the originals. They did the remastered versions of the Uncharted games for PlayStation 4 that were originally released on PlayStation 3. And they play like much more modern games. Believe you me, if you go back and play those on the PlayStation 3, they play completely differently. The control systems are differently. The responsiveness is completely different. And that was just a remaster. They made those games feel fresh, new, and unequivocally better. They then went and did remakes of things like Shadow of the Colossus and improved that no end. And considering that was a masterpiece anyway, they went and remade that and made it better. They're an incredible, versatile studio to go from an action-adventure shooter to an exploration, climbing type game in Shadow of the Colossus. They did Demon's Souls for the PlayStation 5, one of the most brutal games to ever grace any PlayStation system. It was the progenitor for the entire Soulsborne series. They went back and did that, and they did it superbly. That felt like you remembered it, but if you go back and play that original one, it's god-awful in comparison. So they are incredibly talented at making mechanics work. If they have a vision for what they want to make, I have no doubt that when it releases, it will work near flawlessly, because all of their games always do. I'm very interested to see what it would be. I would expect something in the action genre, maybe with a little bit of fantasy on it, but that is pure guesswork. That we have got nothing to say what they are working on, when we would see it. They've been working on it for about 3 or 4 years at this point, so we're probably getting close to hearing about what they're actually doing. But outside of that, I just hope that they keep their level of quality, because I adore what they do otherwise. They are an incredible studio, and I hope that talent shines through on an original project.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, and I hope it comes out during this console generation. I wish maybe we saw a little bit of preview of what they were working on, but I guess we'll hold our breaths, hopefully later this year. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to start my Elden Ring rant, okay? I got 3 headline here, and I'm a little bit upset about what's going on. So, broken and battered, Elden Ring players review bomb Shadow of the Erdtree for being too hard. Unable to progress, they have nothing left. Okay, listen. No. Alright, it's not that hard of a game. You have so many tools, options available to you. You don't go and review a game because it's too hard, negatively. I mean, insanity. Insanity. If you know how to play this game, it's resource collection to be able to bolster yourself, to be able to get ready for fights. You make builds. If you've gotten this far in the game, you know that you're not supposed to be... Anyways, yes, Dorgon, you have a question for the class?
Could I be the other side of the argument?
Review bombing?
You have your rant, and I will be the other side of the argument.
Okay, defend review bombing because the game's too hard.
What other entertainment medium in this world prevents you from seeing the ending of it when you have paid your entrance fee? I will wait.
It doesn't prevent you. The game is...
It prevents you. If you can't beat that boss, if it is too difficult for that player, bear in mind that you and I are in that top 5-10% of players that play regularly, can easily adapt to new mechanics, that can put the time into a game to get good at it and get the items that are needed and the time that's needed to get past these things. The average gamer has between 6 and 9 hours per week to play a game. If that entire game time is taken up by just getting killed by a singular boss, that is not a good investment of that player's money. And I can understand them, therefore, giving it a bad review. You don't go to the cinema and halfway through it goes, right, so what are the themes of this movie and the characterizations being brought out as the message to the crowd? And if you can't answer that, it doesn't then go, nope, you're not seeing the rest of the movie. You will just see the end of the movie. If you're reading a novel and it doesn't stop halfway through and ask you to recount what has happened so far before going, and then no more for you. Video games are the only entertainment medium on the planet that ask a price of entry and then will laugh in your face if you're not good enough for it. And this is a £40 price of entry. This is 40 quid. This is 2/3 of a full game price for DLC that people are just banging their heads against a wall for. Whilst I personally do not think it is a problem, you know what you're getting into with a Soulsborne title, I do see that side of the argument. I have paid for access with my credit card. Please give it to me.
But at the same time, this is a game that rewards preparation. It rewards knowledge of your enemy. It rewards having the skills and know how to go into a battle with all of the right buffs and weapons and abilities and helpful allies. It even gives you allies. You can directly copy yourself with way more health to do even more damage. There is a reward when it comes to defeating something that is difficult when you have prepared to do so. People are going in without preparation and winging it and then getting upset. I think that is a systemic problem. And I don't think that people should be review bombing something because they don't know how to prepare. They don't know the From Software's formula. And instead of saying, oh, this is too hard for me, maybe take a step back and see what the game is telling you instead of just rushing right for bosses. And so that is my rant on people playing it wrong and then complaining about
there
it.
is no such thing, and I get what you're saying, but on the
Then-
flip side of it, if they've paid their money, they have every right to review their experience of it. And if their experience is it's too hard and it's terrible, that is their honest, true, and real experience, and you cannot take that away. Nothing you can say will change that.
And the thing that hurts even more is that they listened to those crybabies. Because now we have Elden Ring DLC made easier with a new collaboration update. And I could not be more upset because after a wave of complaints from select parts of the Elden Ring community, I am just beyond peeved because they did this to a wave of so many people who I'm just very upset because I myself had thought the experience was a little bit too easy. I was taking it upon myself to, one, not bring any summons into any battles. I was going all solo to try to make the experience more difficult, more rewarding. And now they come in and they do this sweeping change, and now everybody has to suffer because people thought it was too easy for them or too difficult. And it's just hurtful because I wanted to play through the experience in its raw form. I wanted the challenge to be able to have the highest highs in victory, and now I just feel like it's a little bit tainted and I have no option to go back.
I can see what the last bit there that you said, completely understandable. You wanted that really, really difficult experience, and it has been nerfed before you've been able to have that experience, and you wish that you could go back. They should have an option to do so in this calibration update. It is wrong that people who want that really difficult experience can no longer have it. But you moaning at people wanting access to something that they've paid for, how does that affect you? How does that change your experience of the game other than it got a little bit easier? It's still a very difficult game. There's no way that someone who is, I think you would probably agree, a gamer on a similar level to yourself, I could not jump into Elden Ring and beat that DLC even as it is. It's partially I've never played Elden Ring, and it's partially I would not be good enough.
No, you beat Demon Souls. I think you could do it.
I beat the original Demon Souls, not the remake. I beat it with the silly controls, yeah. But it doesn't affect me. Like if I'm playing a game, for example, what's one that's been nerfed recently? Lies of P, for example. You were really annoyed that it got nerfed, even after you've beaten it at that harder level, which makes zero sense to me because it didn't change your experience in Lies of P. That changed nothing for you. You still had that really tough experience. You still beat it at the hardest of the hard. And then other people then got an experience that was still the hardest of the hard for them, and they had that same feeling of high as you did. I can understand your current situation because it has stolen an experience from you that you wanted to have, and I do agree that there should be the option to revert back to what it was pre-patch. But it's not the player's fault that the developers did not put that in the game. That is the developers' fault for not realizing they've got two disparate aspects of their community and appeasing both of them.
Oh, I just feel a little bit hurt here This was not the experience I wanted to see. I didn't want, for instance, the fundamentals of the DLC to be wavered by people complaining it was too difficult. I understand they have the right to voice their complaints if they paid money, but they must have beat Radagon. They must have beat Moog. Like, what are you telling me that you can't get past this stuff? And it's just frustrating because sometimes I feel like people complain because it's something to do on the internet, and then when people change things for other people, it's a little frustrating because I didn't review and say it was the best thing ever because I was too busy enjoying it. But maybe if more of us did that, then it wouldn't have been going down this road. So it's just the loudest voice gets to do this, and unfortunately this is the state of video games, because back a time ago games were made and updates weren't being able to be pushed through, so that game was that game. And having that experience that somebody else had, you could relate to, and you both went through at the same time with the same difficulty, and now everyone's going through a dumbed down Crucible, so it's not the same experience. And I just feel like it's a little bit taken away, and really, why do we need to make things easier for people? Why can't we tell them that you need to maybe do more preparation? You need to work harder. No, we'll make it easier for you. We need to raise the bar, Doragon, not lower it.
How, when people are so time poor? When you've got 9 hours a week to game, a week, you put that in yesterday, for example. You were able to play most people's weekly amount of gaming in a single day. How are they meant to put that time in and get better when there's so many things on the market that they want to do, when there's so many other things that are calling for their attention? You've got to realize the average gamer at this moment in time is over the age of 30. They have full life responsibilities. It's not an easy balancing act, and I don't envy any developer trying to make and balance a game for the vast majority of their player base. And that's the problem you face with this DLC at the moment, that you're fighting against the vast majority of the player base. It's the problem that I face with Assassin's Creed, where I am that old school player base that is not being catered to with this new version of the games, and I'm a smaller minority now, so they've got to work towards the majority, and at some point you just have to accept that maybe it's not for you, or enjoy it for what it is.
Well, I appreciate you arguing the other side of my rant there, but I still want the same Crucible for everybody, and I dislike that we listened to people and changed it.
I believe that's called a democracy, and
Yes.
what you're advocating for is a dictatorship. I'm not sure I'm on board with that.
I want
No, I'm not on
dictatorship.
board.
Listen, rule number 1, I am always right. Rule number 2, if I am wrong, refer back to rule number 1. And then there was peace.
I have issues with that.
All right.
Good job there's an ocean between us.
Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree 5 spoiler-free tips. So if you are having a little bit of troubles, I'm going to give you my tips. Because honestly, I didn't like any of the tips that they went through on this guide. So 1, you want to time your animation rolls. So when an enemy attacks you, there's either a wave or an instant where the impact is made. If you can time your roll at that time of impact or just before, you will have animation rolls in which you are invincible. And that's how you dodge attacks. Get good. Okay, number 2, use your spirit ashes if you're having trouble. There's a wide variety of people who are better suited towards different enemy types. Listen, you can upgrade those to be able to enter encounters with extra help, a literal extra person. If you don't know how to use that extra person, make them take all the aggro, literally go around on the back, and use research to find out what best stuns the enemy to get the most critical attacks. Use NPC summons. They will be right in front of boss areas in golden summons areas. You pull them up, you bring them into the fight, you can have literally 2 other people with you in a boss room. Sneak around enemies for viscerals. Just like Assassin's Creed, you can get rid of enemies real quick if you just sneak around them and get a stab in. Real easy to do. You can buff yourself to even make yourself invisible, whisper quiet. Build your guy for poise damage. Knock down the enemy, get the criticals, get the kills. Alright, these are 5 tips that you can use to get a better game. End of my rant. End of my rant.
Elitist Rudigs has entered the house.
Don't complain. Do research.
Oh, hilarious.
All right.
Should we move on before your blood pressure boils over?
Yes. PS5 fan favorite Stellar Blade sold over 1 million copies. Fantastic for a game. Studios such as Shift Up transitioning from mobile into the console world and really bringing an exciting and an amazing experience. I myself have got a completion on this, so absolutely hands down great experience. They're coming up with apparently collaborations, DLCs, and a sequel are all under review, and I'm even hearing photo mode is coming in August, which that would be epic. I would boot the game up just for that.
You in photo mode, man. You in photo mode. I swear you've got an issue.
Yes.
And I'm not sure there's therapy for that one.
No, there's just more photo mode. So I thought that was cool.
It's very cool to hear. I'm confused by numbers a lot of the time in recent eras. Like, we heard about Spider-Man 2 selling 10 million units and not being a runaway success. Then we heard about Palworld having 20 million players, but not 20 million sales because of Game Pass, and that being a runaway success. But then we heard of Hellblade 2 basically not even breaking 100,000 here in Europe, and that being an abject failure, even though that was also a Game Pass game and a completely different thing to like Palworld. And now we're hearing of Stellar Blade selling 1 million units, a tenth of what Spider-Man 2 sold, and that being a huge success. I understand the thought process around different games from different developers have different expectations upon them. Look at Square Enix. Square Enix have got wild expectations for any of their games. Completely unrealistic, and even with their push towards multi-platform, their expectations will still be completely unrealistic. But this is being heralded as an amazing game, selling a tenth of the amount of units as Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 2 was a bit squiffy for Sony. It's that figures make no sense. Money makes no sense, apparently, to me. I know nothing. What is going on? But good for Shift Up and Stellar Blade. I'm glad that they've had what to them is a fantastically successful release.
I think what makes it successful is, one, perhaps the overhead Shift Up did. Maybe it didn't take them that much to transition to this game, and having 1 million is a great success. I mean, this was a solo console launch of a new IP from a new studio. So yeah. I think their expectations were a lot lower than a Square Enix, and that's the genius of economics, right? Tell people you are going to do worse and then do better, and you will be heralded as a massive success. Just don't ever be too optimistic when you're in economics.
Yeah, it's under promise, over deliver, isn't it? I hate that. It's like, no, this is what I'm going to do, and you're going to accept it. But maybe I'm in the minority there.
Yeah. It's just the games we play. Lastly, I wanted to touch on a bit of nostalgia. Atari 50 Enhance adds 39 titles, as well as a full collection, as well as a game called The First Console War. So I thought that was fun to highlight. Atari is coming out with both a physical and a digital collection, and you can experience all the classics from Atari. Yeah, here it is, the 25th of October. You can look forward to that. Atari fans and fans of retro It's a pretty cool set and collection to have for any retro gamer.
Yeah, Atari are great. Bringing games out is great. Is it a limited run games release, this one?
I believe they would do something small like that.
Yeah,
I hadn't read too much into that unless they highlighted it here. But it'll probably only run one sort of set of these, I'm sure. I mean, this is a niche market, right?
yeah, and limited run games are a company that do what it says on the tin. They do limited runs of physical releases for digital only games. It's how Hi-Fi Rush is getting a physical release later in the year. It's how the Tomb Raider Collector's Edition is actually happening for the remasters that released earlier this year. I believe it's how this Atari one is coming as well. So there's going to be a huge availability digitally, and there's going to be limited availability physically. But they tend to do high quality stuff, limited run games. I like Atari games. I think collections like this are great fun. I remember the Mega Drive one that was on. I think I had that on my PlayStation Portable. It might have been my PlayStation 3 or maybe even both, but basically you had like all of your Sonics, all of your amazing Mega Drive games like Golden Axe 1, 2, and 3 in a huge collection for one price, and you just went in and played whatever you wanted. I like these collections. It's a great way of bringing retro titles either to new audiences or into an easy way to play for the existing audiences. I like this. I don't know whether I'll get this particular one. I'm not sure there's enough in the 39 game catalog for me to want to jump into it, but I am very intrigued by the first console war. So hey ho, we'll see.
Well, you bring it up, and it was on the article, but I know we're running out of time. I may as well say it. A mischievous boy has leaked footage of Jet Set Radio reveal for PS5. This could be very epic to see Sega collaborating with PlayStation and bringing back a straight up classic in Jet Set Radio. Apparently it is leaked online, and I'm sure it's stirring up a buzz, as long as Sega has announced that it is bringing back Jet Set Radio along with a lot of other of its titles. So this could be something cool and something they've already announced, so I would look forward to this one.
It's similar to the Wolverine leak, isn't it? This one from Insomniac. We know the game's happening, we've just not seen anything of it. So this is somebody hacking into Sega and or working in Sega and taking a video they shouldn't have and putting it out to the world. It's in some ways it's good because we get to see what this game is looking like. Personally, I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to wait back and just get it when the rest of the world does, but I loved the original. I'm looking forward to the new one. I hope that this looks good. We shall see.
Agreed. Well, thanks for gracing us with your presence, and I'm glad you're back safe and sound from vacation. I hope you had an awesome one, and we will be back next week with more awesome PlayStation gaming news. Until then, what can people look out for on your channel? I know you may be just getting back from vacation, so I'm sure nothing super new, but I'm sure you got some content out there that people should go check out.
100%. I've got a video that went live just before I went away on if you should buy a PlayStation 5 in 2024. I'm doing a similar video currently for the other platforms as well. I've just had something through the post in for review from a company, so I need to get to work on that one, but it generally takes me about a month to get those ones sorted. And then there's an outstanding game review that I really need to get to and sort out. So there's a lot in the pipeline. You're probably going to see the other platforms should you buy this one in 2024 first, but in the meantime, go check out my Should You Buy a PlayStation video. Links in the description.
Links in the description. Yes, I just put them there. So if you haven't seen
yourself,
both of our channels in there, I will be playing Fortnite with the family tonight on Family Game Night. Otherwise, you can catch Cloud&Console with the download next Friday. Until then, be kind and see you out there. Play PlayStation.
Take care, guys. Bye.
What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing. Where do you come from? Where you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing.